All right. So we have been teasing and hinting at for a long time how we were going to talk about how you actually get paid in the music industry.
Yes.
And
this is a big week.
So I was like, all right, we're going to finally, we're going to bite the bullet. We're going to do it. One of the reasons why I was having such a hard time conceptualizing how to do it is because we do these in 15-minute segments.
Yes.
And this is a bigger topic than 15 minutes.
Yeah, this is a big topic.
To do thoroughly. And so I figured out a format that I think we can break this down week by week by week.
Ooh.
So we're going to do this, I think 3 weeks minimum.
This is a 3-part series.
This is our first 3-parter.
Yes.
Right? We've done a 2-parter before. This will be our 3, and this could go 4.
This, we could stretch it out.
Yeah, we're gonna milk this content, this very widely known content. But no, we're gonna break it down. We're gonna give it to you in detail. Yeah,
you can get like a lot of breakdowns, a lot of places, but here we're gonna try to give you as much like detail and get into the nitty gritty, so that you really understand it. So you're not like thinking about it and forgetting it and then wishing you had to learn it again. I've
been to, as you have, a lot of conferences. I've taken classes. Like I've read the books.
We've been through the thing.
I'm signed up in all these things finally.
Yes.
So we're gonna try to distill that. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're not gonna get into like the specifics this week. We're gonna talk about the history of music copyright.
That's so exciting.
And the reason I think this is really useful for me is at least the way that my brain works. The more I understand music copyright and the history behind these things, the more I'm able to conceptualize the modern
how it got to where we are now,
how it applies to the modern systems.
Yeah, you're able to kind of give it some context and contextualize it.
I think so. So this is going to go back to this is going to go back to the
take me from the start,
13th century.
Ooh, really?
But really, we're going to catch up on our story.
The 13th century.
Maybe wait, how does that work? The 15th century.
Oh, okay. I mean, that's a little less impressive.
Because it's the 1400s.
I'm not going to lie. Like, I thought we were going back.
I couldn't remember if the 1400s, if that's the 13th century, the 15th century. It's the 15th century.
Okay.
But really, our story is really actually going to begin in France in the 1840s, the 19th century.
It is kind of a gaslight. You know, you're in the 21st century, but you only get the 00.
20, so you... This is why I can't be I can't be trusted to do this information. So we talked about this more than once, but let's just break down. Can you tell us what the 2 parts of a song are?
Yes. There's a master side and there's like a writing pub side.
Yep.
So, you know, like if you want to look at it the most simplest way, or the most simplest way you can look at a song is as 2 buckets. One bucket is your mastering bucket, as in your master composition, the thing that exists, the song itself, the sound recording. That's one side. The other side is your writing and pub.
I like this. David Attenborough over here.
You know, we gotta go. Yeah. We gotta go deep.
That was good. That was really good. So yes. So there are 2 parts to a song. And we're going to talk about why there are 2 parts. We're going to get to why there are 2 parts to a song. They largely break down to, as you said, the composition and the recording. Yeah. So first, let's talk about the origins of the composition that's sometimes known as publishing. So sometimes you'll be in a conversation with someone and they'll be like, oh, you know, are you like... do you have points on the publishing? Yeah. Right. Which is different than points on the master. So what is points on the publishing? The publishing is the sheet music. So the first sheet music was printed in the 1400s.
Really?
In Italy.
That's wild to think about.
And so we're going all the way back in Western music. I should specify. I'm talking from a Western perspective. I don't know how they do it in the East. Okay, this is Western European music.
They might have been making that written music way before.
Something tells me like China is kind of known for having a pretty like serious what's the word state bureaucracy. Yeah, so they probably had things a little more settled in feudalistic Europe. Just to get real briefly into it, because I don't even have this written down, but you have to remember that this is the days of royal composers, kings and queens, and having patrons. And so when they would pay for a composer to write music for them, the real very wealthy people would pay for music to write music for them. It like they got paid. They made a thing. It was kind of essentially was a work for hire.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then that music was ownership of everything ultimately kind of went up was like ownership of the king or queen, right?
Yep.
As society began to change, I didn't mean to do this, but we're getting I didn't mean to go this deep, but I do like this shit. As society began to change, corporations began to happen, and then of course the printing press happens.
Yes.
Now music can get recreated and published
And reproduced.
So one of the things is that obviously back in these days, remember, music is not recorded.
No. No, music isn't getting recorded until like the 20s or the 30s.
Yeah, a little bit earlier, but yeah.
But around that time period.
So even before the printing press, before music was distributed in sheet music, it was really just performed kind of wherever you could see it, right? It was like performed in like the royal court or whatever. So we're going to fast forward a little bit to the 1840s. This is Paris in the 1840s. This is a pretty high point in Parisian culture.
Yes.
There's a composer named I don't speak French, so I'm going to probably butcher these names, but Joseph Bourget, I think.
Okay.
He goes to get a drink at a place called Café Morel, expecting to have a cocktail, not a drink, and listen to the music, because this was a place where people were playing popular music. The owner of of Café Morel, Monsieur Morel, wouldn't serve him because in the evening the cafe would only serve more expensive drinks. The composer Bourget sued Morel, arguing that the cafe's business practices were unjust and detrimental to artists who enriched the establishment's ambiance. This is so French. I love it. The courts sided with Bourget, ordering Morel to pay him 800 francs. I have no idea what 800 francs was worth in 1840s Paris. Which was a watershed moment for artists' rights. The judgments established that the judgments established that transaction costs for systematically collecting performance royalties. What does this sound like?
This sounds like this sounds like a PRO.
Yes.
This sounds like a PRO.
This is essentially the first PRO that establishes. I didn't even write it down. I'm not even going to attempt to say the French name.
You got to try.
I don't have it written down.
Oh.
SACEM, SACEM, which is still in existence today as the French. If you're in France, you're registering your music, you register it with SACEM, which is the first PRO. So this provided the foundation for a broader movement to protect intellectual property, and Bourget and a few of his associates then went on to form this performing rights organization.
That's incredible.
So,
what year was this?
1840.
Wow. Get out of here.
So that's before then, you could, and there's a similar story in England, or kind of around the same time. Before then, people would get a hold of sheet music. They'd print it. Someone would write a song, write a composition, get a hold of sheet music. They would just kind of print it. They would sell the sheet music, and none of that music would ever go back to the composer.
None of the money.
Yeah, sorry. So what did I say?
The music.
none of the money, thank you, would ever go back to the composer. And so this was the first time that somebody had really done any sort of job.
System.
Yeah.
Created a system to track where that money, where the songs are going, and who was exchanging the money, and how to get some of that back as probably the first royalty for music.
For systematically and in context, if you are a little bit of a history nerd, it does matter, because this is when feudalism is going out and early stages of capitalism are coming in.
Yeah.
So that's why it really does matter, because they couldn't, they didn't really kind of need these kind of protections before.
No, previously you were writing this either for like the king or for the church, and they would own it, and that was that.
That was that. So that's the composition. The composition is a musical work, the underlying musical work of the composition, AKA the music notes.
Yeah.
The
written content.
Along with the accompanying lyrics. Composers and lyricists are both songwriters. So this is probably something important when you are filling out for your PRO. The composer includes the lyricist.
Yeah.
If you're a rapper and you're just you're still considered a composer.
Yes.
So that's just,
you're a lyricist.
Yeah. Just something to clarify.
And I think it's important when we say this. I always got confused when this would be said in classes and in teaching, but I think it's also the intellectual property of the song.
Yes.
When we're talking about the composition, we're talking about the intellectual property of the song.
Well said. And shout out to King David, who kind of spurred all this on, by the way.
Yes.
We are KD. We're going to talk a little more, get to the question that KD asked about what is copyright, and how, if you should copyright your song. That's going to come in a future episode.
That's coming up. So stay tuned.
So let's fast forward to the origins of mechanical royalty.
Yes.
So now remember, music is just sheet music, right? We had a really cool invention in the early part of the 20th century, the 1900s, called, you see what I did there? I got that.
I see it.
That was called the player piano.
Yes.
And
that was the piano that would play itself.
Yeah.
That was the piano that didn't require you to know somebody who played piano.
And so this is the first kind of glimmer of what we now consider to be recorded music, because it was mechanically.
This is the OG piano roll.
Yeah. So what happened was literally because you didn't give it sheet music, you gave it these little punch cards.
Yep,
right?
exactly. With little pins.
So in 1909, the United States Supreme Court ruled that those little punch cards don't count as sheet music.
No.
Therefore, they ruled that didn't count as publishing.
No, that would have to be a new category.
So the United States Congress then established a new category called...
Well, I'm guessing that would be the master side. I'm guessing that would be the sound recording.
Yes, that's the origin of the mechanical royalty.
Yes.
Because these things were reproduced mechanically. Yes. With the mechanical player piano.
Yes.
So that is the origin of the other side of music, is not the composition itself, not the underlying sheet music, but some means of reproducing it mechanically by machines. So then obviously, like, if you're this fast forwards to wax music, to wax cylinders, to records,
to vinyl,
magnetic tape,
everything,
to of course all the way down to streaming today. That's why we talk about that's what mechanical
phonograph.
Yes, of course. That's what mechanical means. The master recording, the mechanical royalties, all of that means is because we made this distinction in the early 20th century of the difference between a composition and mechanical reproduction of that composition.
Absolutely.
So those are the two underlying pieces that you need to know going forward as we talk about how you're going to get paid with this information.
Yes.
So we're going to get into the MLC, the
sound exchange,
which we talked about in the last episode.
Yes,
right?
we did a little bit.
We're going to talk about PROs. We're going to talk about the Copyright Act. We're going to get into all of that, but I think understanding these two concepts are kind of the first
foundations.
One thing I will note, because I think this is the best place to put it, is all of this is covered by international treaty now as well. There were three. I didn't write it down, but there are three major international treaties that cover how governments and how performance rights organizations for different countries are meant to share mechanical royalties and publishing royalties with each other. So this is American-centric podcast, but we do have our international viewers. Thank you for joining us. This will pertain to you as well.
Yeah.
And if your music gets played overseas now, all of this is covered by international treaty. It's all set up so if your music gets played in Bolivia, eventually the money will make it back to you, which I think is really important.
Yeah, in most cases, yes.
In most cases, it will. Yeah.
Yes.
So we're gonna get into that next week. At least 2 weeks. We might do a third week.
Maybe so.
So stay with us. Thank you for indulging me with this little history lesson.
Yes.
And we're going to get into some modern shit, including more recent history.